And without further ado, I introduce the founder of the 7 Line, the sports clothing brand, Mr. Darren Meenan.
Hey guys, I'm Darren. I own the brand called the 7 Line, and PJ asked me to come here today and talk to you guys. It's my first time doing this, so if I seem like a rookie, I am, so I apologize from the beginning. So basically, one thing's been constant since I'm born, I'm a Met fan. That's me on the left. My mom used to bring me to a lot of games. That's my grandfather on the right. He actually ran the press gate, and my mom would bring me to games all growing up as a child. Luckily for us back then, they weren't as strict on security, so we got to go to a lot of free games. And that kind of just molded me into the fan I am today, going there as much as I did, watching obviously more losses than wins. In 1986, the last World Series, I was only 6 years old, so I don't really get to remember it. I see a lot of Met fans here, and I'm sure you don't remember it at all. You seem a lot younger than I am, so hopefully soon we get to see them in the World Series again. At a very early age, my dad had the smart idea to tell me that I had a cousin who was a professional motocross racer. And living in Queens, which isn't very practical, I decided I wanted to be a motocross racer. So when I was around 12, we got a bike. I didn't really have many places to practice, so going to the races was actually practice. And I didn't really excel at it. It wasn't something I could really practice a lot. So I got into BMX. So this is something you can do anywhere. Growing up in Queens, there was always some place to ride, and I picked up on that pretty quickly. When I got to high school, I met a guy in 9th grade that raced at Shoreham. So my dad started bringing me out to the track, and I met a good friend now. His name is Brian, and he lives in Suffolk County. So every weekend, my mom would drop me out there, and we ride and not have a care in the world. But what I always respected about the BMX industry was the rider-owned brands. Sure, you could go to Toys R Us and buy whatever puffy they have there, but rider-owned was very important to the guys in our clique. We knew where the bikes were made, we knew who owned the company, we knew the ins and outs of their business. They put themselves out there. It wasn't some corporation trying to push a product on kids that were going to break their neck. So in the BMX scene, there was also rider-owned clothing companies. Guys that would make t-shirts, bring them to the races and sell them. And in my senior year of high school at St. Mary's, I had an art teacher that said, hey, this is a class where you can do anything you want. Whatever you're interested in, we're not going to really be graded. It's a pass or fail, just apply yourself. So I said, why don't I start my own clothing line? So she showed me the basics of making a screen, bringing your artwork from the computer to the t-shirt, and she was nice enough to let me bring the supplies home. So I'm sure she wasn't supposed to do that, but she let me bring the screens back to my parents' basement. So I started pulling designs, printing them on the t-shirts, bringing them to the races and selling them. And that brand was called Man-Made. Man-Made went from the high school operation to having distributors all around England, Scotland. They actually paid for my advertisements in magazines, so I never had to pay for any of that. I started sponsoring riders, which it wasn't really a paycheck for them. It was, we would go to contests, and if they made the finals, I would pay their entry fee. So it was maybe 50 to 100 bucks, whatever it was. I was a good rider myself, but I knew I would never get to that professional level where I could make a living off of it. So I figured, why don't I use my creativity with the t-shirts and start a business? So that's what I did. Right after high school, I've had a million different jobs. I was trying to list them yesterday. I worked at 7-Eleven, I worked at Toys R Us, I worked at a bike shop, pizzerias, delivering pizzas, local country club, waiter. I've done everything, but what I wanted to do was ride my bike. So the more t-shirts I could sell, the more time I could have to ride. So I went on eBay, and I bought, I think it was about 400 bucks. My computer crashed back then, so I don't have any photos to show you guys, but I bought a press and started making t-shirts for myself and my friends, and also those distributors. Around the same time, I was going to Nassau Community College. Unfortunately, there was no screen printing classes, I actually didn't take any classes that I use towards business. I've never taken a business class or a graphic design class or anything like that, no marketing. I kind of just used common sense and ways to bring more attention to the brand. Back then, the internet wasn't as popular. We're talking 98 to 2003. Obviously, everyone had AOL name, but there was no Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the tools that people use today to promote. After college, I was offered a job up in Binghamton to work at a screen printing shop. Little did I know I was actually running the screen printing shop. I got there, the owner was never there, he would leave me a stack of orders and things I just had to complete. In the same business was a company called FBM. And FBM was a rider-owned bike company that also had a machine shop. So although I wasn't in the bike company machine shop industry, I watched them and the way they conducted business on how I'd like to do for my own t-shirt company. So I decided to move back from Binghamton to Douglaston. I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, can I buy a press for the basement?" And she said, "Sure, just don't tell your father." So I buy the press, I go on Craigslist, I find this press for sale in Brooklyn. I think it was around $1,400. I didn't have, these are called screens here. I don't know if anyone here isn't familiar with screen printing. Each screen is a color. So when you're making a 4-color t-shirt design, you need 4 screens. But I had no way to expose my screens in the basement. So I linked up with a place called Arena in Port Washington, and the guy was nice enough to let me use his light box, but I had to work. So I would go in, and if I wanted to burn 10 screens, I had to clean 10 screens. I didn't work for him, but that was the trade-off. So while I was there, I was obviously observing what was going on, how to use different presses, different techniques, things to do. I never took a screen printing class, but I always watched. And that's, you know, experience. You can't be taught experience. You just have to go out and do it. So at the same time, I was also bartending. And while I would, you know, print shirts for different places, bars, BMX companies, pizzerias, local school, I would also make shirts and find ways how I could sell shirts and then turn it into a free day for myself. So I don't know if you guys know about the place called the Boarding Barn on Long Island. I used to release a new t-shirt design online during the week and take pre-orders. And then on Sunday I would drop off to the bar, collect money from everyone, and I'd have a free day. So everyone got a cool shirt, I got to hang out for nothing, and I probably made a little bit on top of that as well. So right around this time, I stopped riding BMX. I was getting older, I was getting more hurt. A lot of my friends had quit. The man-made company was fizzling out, but I was still using my experience to print t-shirts for other people. So I would bartend in the winter at a place called Slopes up in Hunter Mountain, just like snowboard more. I bartend in the summer at Beach Bar in Hampton Bay, so I go to more baseball games. So I was basically using my knowledge to still have fun, make money, and do what I loved, which at the time was going to baseball games and snowboarding. So, end of 2009 baseball season, the Mets are not making the playoffs again. If you're a Met fan, like me, you know the feeling, it's another wasted season. So, I decided to make a t-shirt that said, "I survived," with the breakdown of the 3 previous letdowns. I did not think this was going to be a brand, so I did write the word Mets on it. The initial idea for the subline wasn't, I'm going to start this clothing brand for Mets fans. It was, I want to make a t-shirt and wear it to the last 3 games of the season. So, the hardest part for me actually was coming up with a name. I wanted to do something that was Mets related, and everything that I thought of was actually taken. So, Metropolitan Tees was something that came to mind, that was taken. I tried to think of something with Flushing, that was taken. I landed on the 7 line because at the time the Mets were really promoting take the train to the game. So, and I also felt the 7 line, train line, people would remember that. You want to come up with a brand name that people are going to remember. So the initial cost for the 7 line business was only $10. There was a sale being run on, I believe it was GoDaddy at the time, $10 domain name. The only other initial costs were business cards and stickers. Email address is free, Facebook account's free, Twitter is free. I did no advertising. All my advertising was go to the games. Go to the games, talk to people. hang out in the bar. There's a bar attached to the stadium called McFadden's. That's the way I promote it. So there was no official business plan, which I'm sure isn't the right way to do it. The plan was make t-shirts, go to baseball games, and have fun. So that's me in the basement. This is opening day 2010. I say that this is the official launch date of the 7 line. I spent all winter coming up with new t-shirt designs, building a better website, and on April 1st is when the Twitter account and Facebook account officially launched. Back then there wasn't Instagram yet, so I didn't really mess with that. So throughout the whole 2010 season, I did exactly what I wanted to. I went to as many baseball games as I wanted, sold t-shirts out of the back of my truck or in the bar or out of my backpack. It wasn't as big as it is now, so I was really just hustling and seeing how I can get more shirts out there. 2010 is also when McFadden's opened. I was a little bit more edgy in the beginning. I didn't realize I was going to get to the level it has, so I was making shirts like Getting Shitty at City. Slapping stickers on Phillies fans. It was just my way to have fun and promote. At the same time, right down the block from my house, Darren Meenan opened a bar. This was huge for me, because not only was I promoting my business at his bar, they were also friendly with the 7 line, which only made us look more legit. So I aligned myself with them as much as I could. I offered special deals to their customers if they came to my site. We had parties at their bar. They let me set up a table. I would sell shirts before the game. We were also doing with every order, anytime someone bought something on our site, we would give them the incentive to come back and shop again. So we put a promo code in every order, and we would change whatever it was, whether it was strikeout, whatever it may be. We would change it every couple months. And that just convinced people to come back. I can't stress enough how important for anyone starting a business, whether it's a pizzeria, a jewelry shop, a nail salon, everyone needs to have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm sure 95% of the people in this room have at least one of these. This is the way that I've promoted since the start. I've never taken the net out in a magazine. I've never paid for any kind of advertising besides business cards. All of these things are free. I looked up the other day just out of curiosity. Instagram has 200 million active users. So anytime you put something up, you potentially have 200 million people that can see your idea or your product. What's also extremely important is they all have to be seamless. For me, everything is /the 7 line. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, no matter what you want to sign up for, it should be the same. It makes your customers, your fans, your friends, your family, it's easier for them to find you if everything is the same. If my brand was the 7 line on Facebook, 7 line clothing on Twitter, and 7 line Mets fan on Instagram, nobody would be able to find it. So that's very important. Another way I use Instagram, actually more so than any of these, to attract customers to my brand is hashtags. I spend at least an hour a day going on Instagram, searching the Mets hashtag, and liking photos that I think are cool. Those users might not necessarily know what the 7 line is, but they're going to get an alert that says the 7 line liked your photo. Odds are you're going to go, what's the 7 line? That just brings more people to your website. So you're kind of tricking users into finding you. It happened to me actually. I own a motorcycle, I put something up, I used a hashtag having to do with motorcycles. A company in Florida liked my photo, I went on their site and I bought a t-shirt. It's the same exact thing. Facebook now wants you to pay to promote ads. I'm not interested in that, I haven't done it yet, but I don't plan on it. So at the end of 2011, I updated the shirt, added another letdown, and released a new one for 2011. So, back to the first shirt, I did have the word Mets on it. I was contacted soon after that. You cannot write the word Mets on any clothing. I haven't since. At first I did because I thought these shirts were just for my friends. I didn't realize it was going to get to the scale it has. Since, I've just used similar colorways, words like amazing, things that aren't necessarily illegal. I just did them in a more creative way. So that was the way around that. May 12th, 2011. this came out in the Daily News. Full-page article, all about the brand, all about being a Mets fan, and best part, it was free. Guy called me about 3 weeks before that. He says, hey, I've heard about the shirts you're making, and I'm interested in doing a story. Can I come by the warehouse? Sure. This came out, and we got 200 orders the first day. The next morning, John Montone from 1010 Wins sees the paper, Googles my name, finds my parents' phone number. I didn't live with them at the time. He says, hey, is Darren there? I'm interested in talking to him. My dad called me. I called John. An hour later, he was in my house doing an interview in my living room all about the business. That shirt says, even lesbians love Dickie, by the way. That was fun. A week later, the guy from New York One, he's a Mets fan, Roger Clark. He says, hey, why don't we run something on Darren? Next morning, we're doing a live interview at the warehouse, talking about the business. That's when Don't Trade Reyes t-shirts came out. And those were really big for us. Fans were wearing them everywhere. Every game we went to, we saw them. Now, this night, some of you guys laughing might know what happened this night. I decided to go to Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN game, nationally televised, make a sign, bring it to the game, and have my website addressed on the bottom. Obviously, the network is not going to like that. People pay a lot of money to advertise on ESPN. I went down there and did this. So, security comes down and says, listen, we understand you're excited, you're a Mets fan, we see you all the time. We can't let you show that sign anymore. I said, fine, I won't. Folded it up, put it down. In between innings, I decided to go walk around. On my way out, some Mets fan said, hey, what do you do? Is this a website? Do you sell those t-shirts? I said, yeah. Take my business card. I handed out tops 5 business cards. I get to the top of the steps, security walks over and says, now you're soliciting customers on our property. You're out of here. They kicked me out. So, I was upset. I spent a lot of money to go to the game. Honestly, this was wrong, but that's not what I was kicked out for. I was kicked out for the business cards. So I went to Twitter and I said, I can't believe I just got kicked out of the game. That spread like wildfire. The next morning, my phone rings. 1,000,000 times wakes me up, and it's Boomer and Carton. They want me on the show. So, the next day I did an interview with Boomer and Carton, did maybe like 5 minutes or so, and it was everywhere. New York Post, the Daily News, Mets blog, WFAN's Twitter account. It blew up like crazy. Everyone wanted to write a story about it, and it was free. So that was great for us. There's another way to promote. Obviously, the intention wasn't to get kicked out of the stadium, but it worked out in the long run. I've seen the security guard since, and we've kind of had a laugh about it, so he's okay. They said I couldn't have the .com, so I took that off and started going to games with this. That ran to the Daily News. I had a print of it made. A buddy of mine, Jack, had it made, and Bray's actually signed it for me. So I have that. The party gift before they got rid of it. But after that, Mets Weekly, run by SNY, called and says, hey, can we come by the shop? And I said, before you get in trouble for pitching the idea, let me just let you know that I was kicked out of the stadium recently. I don't know if the Mets are going to be too excited about giving me free press. They said, we don't care, we're coming anyway. All right, so July 3rd, they ran, I think it was like 6 minutes or so on Mets Weekly, all about the brand and how it moved from my parents' basement to this warehouse in Jamaica. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. I moved from the basement to the warehouse in June of 2011. I just ran out of space. It was getting way too big for me to do everything at the house. What I was doing was printing the t-shirts in the basement, going up to the 3rd floor where I lived, printing out the shipping labels and going to the post office every day. It wasn't practical, and I really was working 23 hours a day. Obviously, you have to work that much to have your business grow, but it just wasn't practical enough. I had no space left, so I moved to a warehouse. Right around this time, in between the Mets Weekly piece in September, I had a lot of shirts with different likenesses on it. The MLBPA contacted me and said, you can't do this. We know you're not breaking rules per se with doing names and numbers and writing Mets, but you can't have a David Wright inspired t-shirt R.A. Dickey, all these different players. So I pulled everything off the website, but then I got an email from R.A. Dickey's agent that says, hey, listen, R.A.'s a fan of your shirts. We want nothing to do with any kind of lawsuits or action against you. We'll let you use his likeness, but you have to give a little kickback towards charity he's raising money for. It's a no-brainer. Of course I said yes. So they set up a meeting between RA and I, and it was a good endorsement for the brand. I'll show it to you now.
Hey, look, I'm supposed to be meeting R.A. Dickey here at 9 a.m.
You are?
Yeah.
You gonna drive any place? What are you gonna do?
Should we be staying here? I don't know, I'm supposed to meet him, I don't know what I'm doing.
Alright,
You told me to come to Lot G.
yes, you're in the red light. I'm gonna put you over here. He's meeting already.
Thank you. Yeah.
For your ready.
This is R.A. Dickey, New York Mets. I love my new shirt from 7-Line. Very good.
Thanks, Larry.
So obviously that's huge for the brand. You have a guy in the clubhouse that wants to wear the shirts, thinks they're cool, and that was a great endorsement for us, for me. At the same time, we were also doing a lot of stuff for charity. We hooked up with a guy named Joe Petruccio. He actually designed the racing stripe jerseys that the Mets wore, the pullover jerseys in the 80s. He does some great artwork. So there's a charity called Tuesday's Children that raises money for 9/11 kids who've had a parent pass away. So he designed a t-shirt, we printed them up, and then ended up being in the Daily News on 9/11. That was actually during their 10-year spread, just to promote the charity and the t-shirt. This design, with the teardrop, is something that I came up with after Gary Carter passed away. I posted it on our Facebook page, not intending for it to be a t-shirt. It was just something that we posted as a memorial piece. And a couple days after his passing, someone from his foundation said, hey, we really like that design. If you want to make it as a t-shirt, we're all about it. I said, sure, of course, why not? I'd love to raise money for your charity. So we printed up a batch of them, and I drove them down to spring training. A couple nights after his passing, we had a fan-run ceremony at home plate of Shea Stadium, which is actually in the parking lot of Citi Field. Fans came and signed that big poster board, and I actually drove it down to Florida to the foundation and gave it to them for their offices. This is a little ad I made for spring training. I packed up my Toyota Tacoma with as many t-shirts as I could and drove down solo from New York to Florida with the intention of meeting other fans, meeting players if possible, and having this sale. I offered free food and beer, which everyone likes, and that only cost me about $100, $200. So I got some pizzas, got a couple styrofoam coolers and some beer, and I figured if I sold 20 t-shirts, that pays for all that. So it's really just a way to meet people in this community that may not have known about the 7-Line. Summer of 2011, this is also at the same time, I decided I wanted to come up with a calendar. A different kind of calendar. There's plenty of different baseball-related ones where there might be David Wright or Jose Reyes or whoever in the calendar promoting Mets games. There's no Mets fans wearing my clothes in a calendar, so I wanted to change that. So we put out a casting all on Facebook and Twitter, saying, hey, if you want to be in our calendar, submit a photo, tell us why you like the Mets, and we put up a voting process on the website. So other fans decided the top 12. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't want to be the bad guy telling someone they didn't make it. So this is actually pretty huge for us because it's something, and it only cost me. The girls actually did it for free. I just had to pay for the photographer and the actual printing of the calendars. So down in spring training, I dropped off hundreds of t-shirts and calendars for the players, right at the side door of Port St. Lucie where they play. And their first spring training game, of that season, every single player and coach wore the number 8 teardrop underneath their jersey as to pay their respects to Gary Carter. And actually, Johan wore it underneath his jersey almost every game. So that was just something that he did out to pay his respects. The calendars actually started popping up in players' lockers. From the minor leagues to the major leagues, they were hanging them, posting with them, sending tweets about it. And they also started wearing the t-shirts. R.A. Dickey kind of opened the floodgates for them to think that, I guess, it was acceptable or cool, and they were wearing them, which was great for us. A funny story about the calendar, I went down to spring training to drop these off, and I was by myself a lot. I would go to the games during the day and go to the bar at night, which was right across from the hotel. And one of the players introduced me to the other guys, and he said, "Hey, this is my buddy Darren." And everyone's bowling and looking up, and "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "He's the guy that makes the calendar." "Oh, sit down, have a shot. Who's single? Who can I meet?" So that kind of springboarded the business to the players as well, which was great. And I never thought I'd be doing shots with Mets players when I was growing up. So. Since we had already had a pretty good relationship with Homer and Martin, I was sending them packages throughout the years. They would have the calendar girls come on and help promote the calendar. And at the same time, a lot of the players were wearing the shirts. Made a special one with from Kevin Burkhardt's face. We donated money from that shirt to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. John Roush here on the right sent me his actual undergarment that Nike produced and asked me if I could print the R.A. Dickey design on it, and he wore that every day under his jersey when R.A. Dickey pitched. It finally happened. The Mets threw a no-hitter. Well, Johan threw the no-hitter. I was there for it. Got some photos of us up at the top. And right after the game, obviously, I wanted to celebrate with my friends. We went to McFadden's. Celebrated as much as we could, but I knew I had a job to do. My phone was going off like crazy. Other fans were saying, "Hey, what kind of shirt are you going to design for this?" And I didn't really even think about that because as a Mets fan, I was waiting for something like this to happen so long, I kind of forgot that I had a responsibility to go home and design something. So that was a Friday night. By Saturday morning, I had this t-shirt designed for sale, which is faster than any other business that makes Mets-related clothing. So we were the first ones to get it out there, and that helped sales for us. In the first weekend, we sold 1,500 of these shirts. Ended up selling 2,300 over the course of its time. Simple design, the word history, the 5 and the 7 to represent Johan and the date that it happened. Daily News again, they picked up on the story about the shirts. They wanted to write about how quickly they came out, and this was in the newspaper the following week. Right around the same time, June of 2012, CNN Money emailed me and said, "Hey, we've been hearing about how quickly you're growing. We want to do a story about you. Can we come by the shop?" Of course. So they came by, interviewed me about the business, and then actually followed us to Citi Field. At the time, we were setting up tables in McFadden's and selling shirts before the games to customers, which McFadden's loved because we were bringing more customers to their business, and we loved it, obviously, because we were selling shirts before the game, just getting more people aware of the business. A year ago today, Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, landed in New York. I decided I wanted to release a shirt for charity that could help raise some money for people in need. I didn't want it to be Mets related or Blue and Orange related. Obviously, people knew us as the Mets brand, but we didn't want to limit who would buy the shirt. So the word unity, very simple, NY, capitalized, and the New York Times came a few days later to run a story about it. All those charities combined, we raised $45 grand for the charities we're raising money for. Tuesday Children, Gary Carter Foundation, forgot to put Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish in there, and we sent the Unity money to Tunnels to Towers Fund, which also was raising money for the different locations that were affected. So That's what we did. At the end of 2012, I decided I want to go out with a bang. The Mets are making the playoffs again, but I already did use it in line to do something that hasn't happened in a while, and that's win 20 games. Those who aren't aware, in the room, 20-game winner is a big deal for baseball. And I called my ticker rep and said, how many tickets can I reserve in the Big Apple? And they said, it's 100. And I didn't think I could sell 100 tickets. The game was on a Thursday during the day. The Mets weren't making the playoffs, and I didn't think that we'd be able to convince people to come. So I bought 100, and they sold out in a day. So I bought another 100. They sold out a couple days later. This is all before knowing R.A. Dickey was pitching. This was a month before the last game of the season. You can't predict the rotation that early. So I knew we were onto something. The Mets fans that we hang out with are all in the same boat. We're all struggling. We're all just trying to look for something fun and a reason to go to the ballpark. And the way that I promoted the business since the beginning was community. I try to involve the customers and the fans of the 7 line as much as possible. I'll post designs on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and gauge interest and see what I should produce rather than producing it first and then losing money. So the fans wanted this. From that 100, we ended up selling 560 tickets. R.A. Dickey did win his 20th game, and I made those flyers as a just in case. I had 500 printed, I had them in my backpack. He won, we handed them out, and then this became an image that it will be forever enshrined, I guess, and say, in Mets history. Everyone was holding them up. This made the papers the next day, and it just proved that there are some really diehard Mets fans out there that really have fun going to games, and they're not just there because they're winning. Unlike years past, the last games of the season, Mets fans would go with paper bags in their heads, and the next day that was in the paper. This was what was in the paper the following day. City doesn't sleep. And not only was it great publicity for the 7 line, it was also great publicity for the Mets. It just showed them in a different light rather than people miserable with paper bags in their heads. So they obviously liked that. After this, we figured, if we do the last game of the season, why can't we do opening day? So I quickly reserved that, had a meeting with the Mets, went over pricing and figured out how we could do this. I don't make a dime on the tickets sold. I buy the tickets, I include a t-shirt, factor in my cost, and mark it up. That's all that happens with this. A lot of people think that I'm getting a deal from the Mets and the tickets. I'm not. They're full price just like anybody else would buy. I'm just including the shirt, and that's what I get out of it. I'm selling 560 shirts for the game, so that's good for the business. During the off-season, I was contacted by a company who was hired to make a commercial for WPIX. The idea was for them to go to different factories that had to do with baseball and film the manufacturing process, whether it be t-shirts or bats or gloves or whatever it may be, and incorporate that into promoting a Mets game. So that's what they did.
I've always been told that a clean slate is hard to come by. Listen, everyone fails, but when you do, start from scratch.
There's a way to shut people up, and that's how I win ball games.
And keep on scratching.
So, people pay a lot of money to have commercials on TV. This was free for the 7 line. They put this in the beginning of the commercials, and that was just great for us. I was watching 2.5 Men, and I saw it on TV, and that's crazy being on your couch and seeing your commercial on TV. The start of this past season, the shirts were everywhere. The guys were wearing them at press conferences. Zach Wheeler had the cover of Newsday wearing my shirt. That's the PR director for the team, Jay Horowitz in the center. They were everywhere. Guys were loving them. I would drop off packages right to the side door. They'd take it right into the clubhouse, and I was told they were gone before people could get to them. So it's kind of like a snooze, you lose. Some of the old guys wouldn't let the new guys get the shirts. They would take them first. Opening day. Instead of 560, we took every seat in the Big Up Reserve. This is 860 seats. For this game, we included limited edition sunglasses and thunder sticks. These 860 sold out in 23 hours. That's my fiance and I kissing in the paper the next day. Pretty cool. Those are the sunglasses on the left. A company called Knockaround in California. It's really good to try to collaborate with other businesses. So you're sharing each other's clientele and fan bases. So the Knockaround fan base might not have known about the 7 Line there in San Diego. A lot of the Mets fans didn't know about them, so I'm sure after the game they may have went on their site and bought some stuff. So try to collaborate as much as you can with other businesses that are going to make each other look well. On the right, we designed some shorts with a company called Streaker. They're from New York City. They do a lot of throwback-looking shorts to make it look like the old teams. We made a couple hundred of these. They sold out in a day. Went back to the Mets and said, hey, opening day was great. Let's do it again. They said, instead of you just doing the big games, opening day, Subway Series, whatever it may be, why don't you try to do another one in 19 days from now on a Saturday against the Nationals? And they thought maybe they could gauge that on how quickly it sold out to see if we should do more. Instead of 23 hours, this sold out in 4 hours. ESPN Magazine gave a call and said, hey, you heard about it, we want to write a story. There's a freelance writer named Kevin Ryan, who actually is a Mets fan and went to a lot of games. They read it, it was a full-page ad, full-page story, and they actually showed a few different shirt designs in the article, and those sold out immediately. Obviously never thought I'd be in a magazine with Mike Tyson on the cover, so that was really a great feeling. What we started to do to help promote, every game we put on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram we're going to, hey, wear one of our shirts to the game. We're going to walk around and count t-shirts. The 20th person we see will get a free shirt. So we put a gift card code inside, walk around, 20th person, we hand it to them, and that was just another fun way to get more people involved. More people would wear the shirts to the games, and walking up to someone and handing them a gift certificate. They may not even known they were in the contest, so they really liked that. Just by showing up today, you're actually in a contest as well. We hid a few gift cards underneath your seats. I don't know if there's a couple empty seats now, but if you feel underneath, you might have won something. If not, you look next to you. First to find it, there's none in the front. No. No? How many did you hide these things?
They're right in the middle. They're in the middle slot. Yeah.
Cool.
There's 3.
There should be 3.
I think there's one.
If not, we'll find it in the end. So anyway, that's just another way to promote, get more people involved in the business. No? There's none in front. Okay. So.
In the middle.
Inside the black.
Okay.
In front. We have to share that.
Big destination spot for most baseball fans is Wrigley Field. I called the Cubs and said, hey, we want to bring a rabid group of Met fans out. Can we reserve some tickets? They don't care if we're Mets fans or not. They want to sell tickets. So obviously they said yes. Reserved 100, sold those, kept buying more as needed. We ended up bringing 500 fans to Chicago. Everyone was responsible for their own travel and hotels. I sent them the shirt and the tickets. And they met us there. We had a great time. I talked to some Cubs fans, so they've never seen a more organized group of fans take over their bleachers. It's actually first come, first served seating, so we got there at 8 in the morning, game started at noon. We were the first to sit down, and what could they really say? I mean, they beat us, but we had a great time. And it just goes to show the passion behind the group that we call the 7 Line Army. They really love going to the games. They love the community atmosphere. You can come to a game by yourself and meet 499 friends before you leave. For absolutely no reason, we like to bring big heads to games. Random ones, obviously. Seinfeld says he's a Mets fan. We figured if he saw this, maybe he'd want to come sit with us one day. This was the Subway Series at Citi Field. Also, we sold 100 less tickets to this one. It was just a tough day, really expensive game, holiday weekend. 2 days later, we went to Yankee Stadium and took over their house. Sold 300 tickets to that. Brought George Costanza, because he worked for the Yankees on the Seinfeld show. And the next day, we got some press on MLB.com. The Mets won, I think it was 9-1 or something like that. And after the game, Parnell was interviewed, and he actually said the 7 Line Army by name. Said, oh, the Mets fans were out in full force. The 7 Line Army was here cheering us on, so that was great for the business and also the fan base. The final game of the season, which was only a few weeks ago, Mike Piazza was inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. So we were already doing a big group outing, but we decided, why not turn it into a Piazza Day of our own? Got these big vinyl 31s made, the letters in the front, big heads of him, and I believe this sold out in 2 hours, I think. 860 seats again, 2 hours. So we're just showing that the demand behind our group was growing, and this ticket sold out really fast. So in all, this season we sold 4,555 tickets to our outings. Not only was that tickets sold, there's also t-shirts sold. Like I said before, we don't make any money on the tickets, all on t-shirts. So that's what we did this past season. Next year, I already have deposits with San Francisco Giants, the Marlins, the Phillies, the Yankees, and the Mets. So we're going to expand next year, turn this into possibly 20 games. So obviously the teams like that, it's more tickets sold, and the fan base likes it because it's more games for us to have fun and watch the Mets. That's the end of the slideshow. Say, if you guys are in class for, let's say, sports marketing, management, whatever it is, you already have an upper hand on me. I never did any of that. I just work my tail off and apply myself, and anything I don't learn, I try to teach myself. And anyone in this room can do that too, so good luck.
Right now, we'll open the floor to questions. Just raise your hand, stand up, say your name, and ask a question. And we have about 10 to 15 minutes, so we'll start. Anyone would like to start?
I'm Dr. Grayson from the economics department. It seems as though you have a seasonal business. Is that the way you view it, or?
No, actually, it's not at all. You would think so, because the season's over. Who's buying baseball-related material now?
Exactly.
The good part about the business is it's not as seasonal because we come out with a lot of new things in the winter. Black Friday, we run a huge sale. Right now,
so you have other products. So
right. Well, no, people still buy them. Like my mom's here in the front. She makes these scarves, so we sell scarves. The calendars. There's always new things coming out: sweatshirts, hats, jackets, things like that. So even though it may seem like it's a seasonal thing, it's really not. Like these bracelets, for instance, we came out with these last week. So I purposely planned stuff to be released after the season.
A rainbow blue.
It's blue, orange, and blue.
My granddaughter makes them.
Yeah. No, it's called paracord. So we plan different things to be released after the season's over, so we're not.
So you keep your employees working throughout the year.
I didn't talk about that. I actually only have one employee besides myself.
Oh. Looks like a big warehouse.
It does. Well, the warehouse is large, but I do all the social media, all the designing, the promotion. I have one girl who works in the warehouse, helps with the shipping. But as far as the day-to-day business, I'm as full-time as they get.
So you do all the print, the screen print?
I used to. It actually got to the point where anything that's, if I need too many shirts in order, I can't do it by hand. I would be there all week. So we have hydraulic presses in the warehouse now that we can run off
Do you sub some of it out, or?
No, everything's done in-house. So I think that's
I
what
don't want
also...
to monopolize the question.
No. I think that's also what fans do.
Business type.
No, yeah. What fans also appreciate, I think, we're very open with what we do. Everything's done in-house. We order the shirts, they're printed there, they're packaged there, they're designed in Queens. So that really helped escalate the growth of the brand because, like I said earlier, with the BMX company, no one knows who makes the bike in Toys R Us. No one knows who makes the shirt that you buy at Modell's. They know who makes these shirts. So
Do you use American shirts?
on some stuff I do and some stuff I don't. It's like the price point on some of it's just way too high. The shorts are, the sunglasses are, a lot of items are, the jackets, but some of the t-shirts are.
Darren, you're already known as the most quoted man in the United States. In the past, like you've had people try to compete with you.
Right.
You know, put out their own shirts, thinking they're going to take over where you left off. How have you handled that in the past?
Well, I mean, there has to always be more than one person in the game, you know? There are other people making Mets-related t-shirts, but I think with the growth we have so far, it might be hard for someone to start and just compete off the bat. Obviously, I'm not the most creative person in the world. The t-shirts are pretty basic. It's really the idea behind the company that people love, and it's not necessarily the designs. If people want to try to compete, bring it on. I guess I don't know. I just do my thing, and I can't really control anyone else.
Right, but you know, I've seen the postings, like, you know, you can't deal with anybody.
Right. I mean, there's always going to be competition.
Yeah.
So, what can you do?
I'm curious, when you first started your brand, were you tested with struggles of how to get to the next level, and how did you keep yourself going?
Well, I think the way that it grew for me was that there really wasn't a plan.
Okay.
I grew as quickly as I needed to. Looking back, if I had $1 million to invest in the beginning, I wouldn't have spent it because you only need to grow as quickly as you do. If you try to, right out of the gate, design too many shirts, come out with too many products, and they don't sell, you're going to fail. So what I would do is I'd make a shirt by shirt basis, sell them, make more, and then expand. Like I said, I only started with $10 for the website.
And then you had a support system with your family.
Yeah, my mom makes the scarves, my dad helps with the layout of the calendar, so it's all in the family.
What are, and like you're very successful obviously, like what are your goals now, like beyond that?
Beyond this is, it's getting bigger all the time. I don't know if you're familiar in the room about Wills Point. It's directly across the street from City Field. I'd love to open a bar. I have plenty of business and plenty of experience in the bartending business. I feel like with the amount of people that we have show up to a game, I'm sure they'd want to hang out at the bar as well. As far as the clothing, there really is no limit. It's getting bigger all the time. And we'll see. I don't really know. I'm kind of just doing my thing. And it's also surreal. I just have fun doing what I'm doing. It doesn't feel like a job. And if it does start feeling like a job, then I'll have to find a new one because I don't ever want it to be a job.
Have you ever thought of doing other teams other than the Mets? And I know that's touchy because
No, it's fine.
one thing that's great about yourself, the whole thing is industry and what fans, black fans thing. I mean, I've known you for a while.
Right.
I wouldn't wait for you to contemplate the jump into other similar markets like Chicago contemplated.
Right.
There's a passion.
And music too. And music.
For those who haven't heard, Ryan in the front asked if I wanted to make shirts for other teams. And in the beginning, I was making a few shirts that were Jets related or other teams that I liked. But it really had nothing to do with being a Mets fan, and that's what the business was built on. So you would actually turn off more things than you would turn on. Because if you're liking our Facebook page because of the Mets, and all of a sudden I'm posting about the Jet game, you don't want to see that. So it's a very specific market, and expanding wouldn't really make sense. I mean, there's plenty of Mets fans who ship globally. Australia, England, Austria, France. There's people all over the country buying the shirts. So I think as long as we just we don't really need to expand.
With your success, have the Mets ever approached you about working for them, or they ever try to buy you out?
No. I own 100% of the business. The only thing the Mets have to do with me is the tickets. Obviously, in the beginning, I was making some very edgy shirts, things that you probably wouldn't want to wear to church. But when I started working with different charities, I did tone it back, whether you want to say that's selling out or not. You don't want to work with the Gary Carter Foundation and have a middle finger on a t-shirt on your website. So whether that's selling out, so be it. I mean, it was doing more bad than good. So, no, the only approach from the team is just how can we sell more tickets, which we know all throughout baseball, tickets are declining. So if we can do more outings and help them sell more tickets, it only makes the 7 line more.
Well, if you want to combine the two statements that you just made, tickets are declining, does that portend something for your business?
Well, it might be easier for us to get more tickets and more events, but the good part about it is to also, if you think about it, if tickets are declining all throughout the country and we're selling out faster every game.
That's TV viewership as well.
Right, no.
For all of baseball.
No, it is. So, I mean, it only just means that our brand is growing as theirs is declining, which is pretty crazy.
I just have 2 questions.
Sure.
The first one is, the Mets have contacted you to do like promotional stuff, like they have like Problem Day or whatever. Would you ever make a T-shirt for them, like for a specific day for promotion?
I haven't. They haven't asked me to. They do something called T-Shirt Tuesday. You buy a T-shirt, you get a ticket. It's almost kind of like the same thing we're doing, but they do it so much and it doesn't really have the same appeal because it's run by the team and this is run by the fans. So, you know, Will Pond's not drinking beer with you and McFadden's afterwards. I am. So, you know, people like that. You know, now I'm not saying I wouldn't help them on something. I just haven't yet.
Would you ever try like the Knicks or the minor leaguers?
Not really. I mean, I try to do something a side brand with a buddy of mine, but this is getting to the level where I don't really have the time to do it. And
so you wouldn't do Cyclones or?
I mean, maybe Cyclones. I would still do baseball related that have to do with the Mets, but I wouldn't do like Knicks or Islanders.
So you know that at Cyclones they sell every other day something. They sell hockey jerseys, they sell shirts.
Yeah,
They sell everything.
I mean, I think,
sell
like I was saying before, I think the growth of it is really helped along by the fans who really love the Mets, and too many people get turned off by other things we start straying away.
Where does PayPal come in, you know, as part of your sales? I mean, not once have you mentioned PayPal. Where does PayPal come in as, you know, as part of your sales, as part of your business?
For those who don't know,
especially like, I know you've had a lot of requests. I'm not the only one here, but a lot of requests where, can I send a check? Can I send a money order? I'm not the only one.
Right.
Where's it come in?
I think that for those who don't know, we only sell online right now. We did sell at McFadden's for a little while, but that got shut down. It really wasn't legal. They pay rent to the Mets, and there's a company called Aramark that's in charge of everything that's being sold in the stadium. So the way I was doing it just wasn't the right way. But Greg wants to know about PayPal. PayPal is the only way that our website can accept payments. It's PayPal and also credit cards. That's just the fastest way for us. Right now, there's no faster way until we open a store.
There's no chance checks.
Yeah.
Darren, I just wanted to, my name is Sobson, I'm a professor here in the sport management department, and you said that you hadn't taken any classes in this area, and I just wanted to compliment you. So much of what you've done, I think sounds like it's based off of instinct, but they're great lessons. So I really compliment you that so much of what you've done, we would want to teach. And to hear you actually, and one of the quotes I think, I'm going to steal at some other point, you can't be taught experience. Really fantastic. Fantastic quote. Now I forgot the question that I wanted to ask you. But no, just really, really fantastic. And again, appreciate you coming here to Farmingdale State.
Thanks for having me.
Like 3 more questions.
Darren, I think you have probably inspired a lot of people here in the audience who now can see what happens when persistence meets creativity. So if there are some students in the audience who are thinking, hey, maybe I'll come up with a Farmingdale shirt, or not a huge enterprise, but I want to try doing a shirt. Right. Is there a rule of thumb or a range on what a budding t-shirt entrepreneur should try and make per shirt?
Make as far as the design?
No, in terms of the
Pricing?
The price point.
Right. It's tough.
I think it succeeds.
Right. I mean, when you're just starting out,
Yeah.
my prices went up from $17 to $20. Not a big jump. I just started using nicer shirts. So you really just have to figure out, if you're printing them yourself, you don't have as much overhead. I printed everything myself for the 7 line, so I have more wiggle room as far as what I can charge. If I was first getting started, I'd probably charge $10 just to cover my costs, get the name out there. Not that you want to then, on your second shirt, charge $20, but it's a touchy subject, especially, like you said, just for instance, a school shirt. The school might not like that. Making a shirt for school, but you could do something similar, kind of like I did with the Mets.
Would you ever open up a store in Queens?
I don't think I'll open a store until the bar's open. Like Hooters has, there's a gift shop. So I think the 7-line saloon, whenever it opens, if it opens, there'll be a store right next door with all of our stuff in it.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Stein. How did you come up with kind of like a formula of how much of each shirt you make per design? Was it basically, I didn't know you said, to kind of just show the design online and people kind of gave their opinion on it?
Right.
Did you have was it just on feel, or did you have a formula, or was there a minimum you had to make? Or
well, in the beginning, I'll come out with the design and maybe release it on a Friday. Take sales up until Monday before I even started printing. If I sold 100 shirts that weekend, I'd make 150. I've only been burned once on making too many. And that's just because there was such a demand for the shirt at the beginning, and then it died down so much. But we do something called a grab bag on the website. Any shirt that's left over, not as popular, we're trying to fizzle out, we offer it up for $7. You don't know what you're getting. You just pick a size. So that's a good way to get rid of inventory. Someone still gets a good product and get you again.
did you ever look at any other ways of printing? Like, is there like thermo printing?
There is
quicker or more towards order?
There are other ways to do it. There's heat transfer presses and things like that, but the quality isn't as strong. Screen printing with plastisol is what I use. It's liquefied plastic. It has to be heat set at 360 degrees. It's not coming off the shirt. You'll have a hole in the shirt 20 years from now before the ink falls off. So there are other processes, but I think screen printing is the best way.
Other than the situation you have with Dickey, were there any other situations with players who, looking for some kind of incentive to have their name or their likeness on shirts? And
after that, I actually would contact them individually and say, hey, are you okay with this shirt? I did a Pride of Whitestone shirt for Mike Baxter. He said it was okay. So if I did have contact with the player, I would ask them.
You on the David Wright shirt?
Yeah, I donated money to the David Wright Foundation. I'm friendly with his brother, so he knew totally about the shirts. His parents have them, so it's crazy.
One last question. As sport management students, we're taught as managers to plan, lead, organize, and control events and businesses and how to be a successful manager. I know on September 29th you did the Mike Piazza Day. It was a 7-line Army event. And on September 5th you wrote on your website that you were going to be doing this event. In less than a month you planned it all and had it all together. How did that work? Like, has anything helped you to succeed and make sure in less than a month you had everything planned?
Right.
Was it stressful? Was it like how do you react as a manager doing that? And how do you go about that? Doing in less than a month, having a deadline and stuff. How do you go about that?
Well, since I only have one employee, a lot of responsibility does fall on my shoulders. So it is a little comforting that I don't have as many people to look after. If something needs to be done, I get it done. Now that we've done so many of the events, they actually go off without a hitch even easier. Each one seems a little easier. Buying the tickets, assigning the seats, and sending out the shirts is the hardest part of the event. Showing up is just show up and have fun. So as far as the organization of it, like I was saying before with the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, the Twitter account has 16,000 followers right now, Facebook's over 21,000, and Instagram's 9,000. So right off the bat, if we have an event or a new product or whatever, the second I push send on my phone, all those people have the potential to see it. So that's how the tickets can sell out so fast. And we also have a mailing list that you can join on the website.
And we'd just like to thank you for coming. think it was a great event. I'm glad that everyone came today. On behalf of the Farmingdale State College and the Sport Management Club, I'd like to present you with the Farmingdale State College.
I brought some keychains and some button sets. They're free if you guys want to take them.
Yeah, and we have just 1 second before we leave. I want to again thank Darren for coming. Really a fantastic talk. I'd also like to congratulate PJ and the other members of the Sport Management Club. This was their effort in coming up with the idea, talking about doing a lot of work, promoting it. It really, I think, went extremely well. And a round of applause if you could.